If you have to swim and only the upper body works, and I'm not saying we're the upper, I'm saying we're the front of the building. If only your arms work, how long can you tread water? The body of Christ is needed today to bring worship into the house of the Lord, to bring his presence in a more elaborate, in a more fulfilling way. Because it says over and over in the Old Testament, when the people praised, wars were won. Sometimes he heals everyone in the building. Sometimes he heals everyone on the left side. Sometimes he comes to a spot in the building and that's where he heals from. He does his own thing. One pastor said that one morning he was preaching and he sensed the presence of the Lord walk in a very special way to this side of the building. And he said, the Lord is here to heal. And people started getting healed in this section. But he didn't know. Looking back, he said, I would have told, had I known then what I know now, I would have told everybody on this side of the church, go over there. When I talked last week about being led, we're not in charge of how he determines he's coming in. Maybe all the worshipers were on that side. And he said, those that worship me this morning, they're going to be healed. He said, now I would instantly, if I recognize things were happening in a place, I would say, go to that place. Because your chances are higher where his presence is. Because if you'll notice through the Bible, God had relationships with a human. And that relation with a human determined sometimes the lives of the people around that human. Don't you want to be that human? The relationship with God is an ongoing thing. You can always move deeper. You don't want to stay the same. That's the worst thing you can do. This morning, I'm going to talk about something that should interest you really a lot. And if it doesn't, then you've probably experienced it more than you want to admit, and it's made you feel hopeless. But I'm going to talk this morning on failure. Because failure is so common in the walk of life that you can't cut it out. Even if you're a perfectionist and you work only when you know you can do a perfect job, you cannot cut out failure with perfection. You can't cut out failure with every plan, every detail planned. You just don't know in the moment things that could go wrong. So the first kind of failure is common failure. And this is like forgetting an appointment, bringing the wrong hard drive to work. You're supposed to show a presentation. This is just stuff that you could be in a hurry and you forget these things, okay? A predicted failure, if you think about it as you're testing out any new concept, you're trying out a new program. You can predict there will be failures because you don't know exactly what could happen. You have this setup for what you plan, like a wedding. You have this planned setup. We have a very good wedding or destination wedding person right here. Veronica, just wave your hand. She does a beautiful job. But if you're planning a wedding, you plan it to the nines, but you just can't predict that the dog that was going to walk down the aisle got off his leash. Like that was not something you could have predicted. Right? This was the plan, but you couldn't predict that one. Then there's another kind of failure. It's called glorious failure. And this type of failure is when you've tried to do something massively big. Like the odds are it's not going to happen, but that doesn't stop you. You're still going to try to do it, okay? And if you go down without failure, it's still glorious because everybody recognized you were trying to do something that nobody else usually will even try to do, okay? So when you think about these failures, I want you to think about this. How come when you fail, does the devil tell you you're a loser? If failure is so a part of the process, why does he tell you the big fat lie that you're a loser when you fail? He's a liar. And the thing that I want to tell you is failures are built into the process. We heard a video that said this week, and I kept thinking about it over and over and over. It's true. The fact that you feel defeated after a failure should be the first lie. You need to say to yourself, well, the odds were something that I wouldn't have thought of, or something happened. You know, like the day you said you were going to intercede all day, but then you got a flat tire. Like the devil gave you a flat tire. So you were too tired to intercede when you came home that day. Or the day that you were in a fast and the boss says, we're all going to a lunch, fancy lunch, and you don't want to look crazy or rude. What are these things? These are moments in time that you have to kind of say, well, I couldn't have planned that. And I want to honor him with this gift he's giving me, right? So unless the Lord called you on a fast, you can honor someone's gift. They're trying to give you a meal. You think, well, I'll eat this meal, but I'm not going to eat two more tomorrow. Just make up, right? Try to figure it out. If you're in the middle of a 20-day fast, you're not going to quit for a meal. But if you're just, there's times when you're called to a fast, and there's times when you plan to fast. So there's moments where you just couldn't have predicted that day was going to be the day. Be careful that the devil doesn't make every time you fast. He's got that plan set up. You got to know which they're important to gracefully yield or to say absolutely not. So what I want to tell you today is failures are the things that happen on the way to success. There's steps. There's steps. They don't mean you're a loser and that everybody else gets it. They're just a step on the way to success. From each of the failures that you fail comes a life lesson that helps us learn from the mistake. How many times have you when you're successful, you go, oh my God, it worked. Like you're shocked. But when the mistakes come, you think, okay, next time when that happens, I'm not going to respond the way I did this time. Next time Mom gets drunk on Thanksgiving and starts telling everybody what a bad kid I was, I'm not going to yell and leave the room and say, why do you always bring up these things? I'm going to have a better plan, right? So this is how success comes, is by looking at your failure and saying, okay, I know now not to let that person speak when we're trying to have short talks, because they're never going to be short, right? You start learning. Oh, you learn that. Okay, so your failures also form your character. So if you don't have failures, you think you're everything and all that. You think everything you touch turns to gold. And the people that believe that, you will hear it in their talk. Most people are lazy. Most people don't try as hard. There's other people, and that is true in some situations, because some people take failure as the new law. Your new normal. Failure's your new normal. Everything I try fails. Never preach Satan's message out of your own mouth. Never preach Satan's message with your own mouth. As my husband says, be your own best friend. I'm going to give you another life lesson. Success isn't permanent. Success is not permanent. And failure is not fatal. If you're trying to not be an alcoholic and you failed yesterday, but today you arise with determination and anger in your mind, you say, oh, I'm going to get this. You're never going to stop me. I'm going to be free. It wasn't fatal. The only time failure is fatal is when you give up. You didn't take the step. Now you didn't say, okay, I can't do that next time. I'm going to do this. And so the next time comes, you're stepping up on that step of failure. So let me see what Einstein said about it. Anyone that hasn't failed hasn't tried anything new. You'll notice a lot of those people on social media when you try to do something. And they'll say, this girl can't sing. This girl needs to sit down and be quiet. This boy, what a loser. Don't be that person on social media. The brave people are the ones that try things and they fail at it. And they get up and they try that same thing again. The spectator sport is a lazy sport. It observes everybody that tries and criticizes them and critiques them. Don't ever give them a voice inside your head. If you're not dirty and dusty with trying to win and falling and trying to win again and failing and trying to win again and failing and trying to win again, and you're dirty and you're bloody and you're saying, I'm not giving up, I'll win. Don't ever let the voice of a critic or someone on social media that's saying a mean thing about you, don't let them inside your head. Always give honor to yourself for trying. And don't say, I tried and failed. Say, I tried and learned. I'm going to get better. I'm going to do better next time. And the thing about it is we have to stop dwelling on our failures. I mean, even a simple failure. I remember tripping on the steps at high school and just the burning humiliation that lasted all day and all week and then all year and then every time that moment came to my mind, it was like, oh my God. Just a little thing that I couldn't control in the moment. My book bag went flying, the girl in the dress. These don't play that in your mind. That's just a common, everybody does it at some point or time. So don't dwell on anything, and just remember this. I'm going to give you a few tips that will help you against failure. Before that, I'm going to tell you a story. It seems like I'm always telling stories of my own failures, but the Lord told me to do it. He likes humility. He doesn't want any of you to think that I'm so big that I can't be hit and that I can't take a fall, because I can. And so he's the one that tells me to tell my failures, and I'm going to tell it, because I learn more in my failures than I do in my successes. You stumble on success, or you've learned so much, it finally came. You finally got all the things out. But one day I had I shared this with ISI. One day I had prayed. I had gotten on the floor, laid before the Lord. I had given him my mouth, my hands, my ears, my eyes, my heart, my mind. I said, use me, please, today, use me. I want you to possess me from head to toe. Use me. And so I decided to go to the farmer's market. And as I was walking through the farmer's market, I was all of a sudden, randomly, just regular flowers that don't have any scent. The scent of flowers was so strong in my nose. And I'm looking at these flowers like they don't even smell if you get up right next to them. And I'm just thinking, oh my God, because I'm worshiping, saying, I want to be useful to you, God. I want to do what you want me to do. I love you so much. The smell of these flowers start getting stronger and stronger. And I become aware that this is like a supernatural moment. Because I'm looking at the flowers around me and I'm saying, these don't have smell, but I feel the presence of God. So I start looking in between the plants for an angel. Like I'm going, oh my God, I think I'm fixing to see an angel. And I look to my left and I see a woman, a beautiful woman. And she's just walking through the plants, and my enlightenment comes on my whole body, and I go, oh, but I don't have a word for her. I haven't seen something in the spirit for her. I just get this moment, oh my Lord, what do I do? And because I didn't have a word, and she didn't look sad, and she was talking, having a fun time with her daughter, talking away, because of those things, had she looked sad, I think I would have tried harder. But I thought, no, this has to be you. You're just in the spirit, and what could this be? So I start walking quickly to the car, and I go, I'm not doing that. Lord, if you have a word for me, tell me, and I'll go. But I'm not doing that. I don't know what to say to her. I don't know how to interrupt her world. And that old familiar spirit of shyness got on me, and fear. After that beautiful prayer meeting, and after that supernatural moment, I hurried up and turned on the car. And I remember saying, if you bring her to the farmer's market next time I see her, I will talk to her. How many have done anything like that? Am I the only one in the building? And so I got in the car and I left. But as the day progressed, the Lord was precious to me, not to make me feel guilt, because I have discerned that's of the devil. I won't receive it anymore. But he still knows how to tell me to stop doing something. And he doesn't let up, but it's not with guilt that he uses. And he just started talking to me, and I realized in my moment of later on, I looked back at that moment and I said, that was such a supernatural moment. But what should I have done? I wasn't prepared for that moment. I was prepared for the Lord saying, go over there and tell her this, that, and the other. But I wasn't prepared for nothing, just like that. So I went home and I started practicing. I said, okay, if that ever happens again, Lord, this is what I'm going to do. I have a new plan, so I won't fail next time. And my new plan is when I have nothing, but I just have that knowledge that there's something there with this particular person. This is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, I was walking by you and I was praying. And all of a sudden, the Spirit brought me to the attention of you. Is there anything that you've been asking God for? Is there anything that you need me to pray for? That was my new plan. And now I realized that in spite of this 30-minute time on the floor, not counting whatever else I did, saying, please use me. I want to be useful to you. I still had a big hole in my plan to present the plan successfully. And that's what I want to tell you. As you try these things, and as God opens the doors, and you all of a sudden you're in this moment, you go, oh, what's this? Oh, Lord. Sometimes you'll have boldness, and that's the other thing I put back in my prayer time. Make me bold so I don't fear man, so I only fear God. Because you got to pray that a lot if you've been shy your whole life. But when you pray it, all of a sudden you'll say things that you think, what? Because he allowed you, and you had given so much, and you had said, don't make me afraid anymore. And so I want to tell you that success is just failing and thinking, okay, I've seen that moment. Because I believe that though I wish I had done both of those exactly what he wanted, and though I had no idea what in the world he could be pointing these people out to me for, I now have a plan for that moment. And I pray that when he really does need me, I'll have worked out all the kinks, and I'll walk up without fear and just say, this is what I feel to say. So I just want to tell you, the Lord does a lot of work. I'm reminded of the dream that Savannah had where she was in the building, in the church. It was some kind of a district event, and it was offering time, and there was a man coming up the aisle. And the Lord told her to say, I believe, to tell that man he's going to be healed. And she looked, and he looked at her because she had the look in her eye like she was going to tell him something. She was coming off the platform. And in that moment, she thought, I'm going to tell him after church because I could disturb the service. I'll tell him immediately following the service. And she waited. And the minute the church service was done, she starts looking for this man, but he's nowhere. She knows the urgency of the word that she was supposed to speak. So she starts running around the outer parts of the church and running out to the parking lot. And she's asking everybody, have you seen this man? Have you seen this man? And everybody's saying, no, I think he already left. Yeah, he already left. And then the Lord told her, do you know how much trouble it is for me to get two people in the same place at the same time? How many of you, when the Lord, you feel like, go to the grocery store, go to the grocery store, go to the grocery store, you think, I don't even want to go to the grocery store today, but you just feel this urgency, like, go, go, go. And think how long it takes when you finally got there, somebody was there, and, you were able to talk about the Lord. Think about just you, someone that has surrendered to him, how long it takes. How about someone that's not surrendered to him? It's a lot of effort he's putting into. It's day after day of speaking to people, hoping that God will do the right thing. And he needs us to do what he wants us to do in that moment. So whenever you fail, don't beat yourself up. Ask God to forgive you and plan a new strategy that includes the step that was on. And pretty soon we're going to be successful. We're going to be prophesying to people all over the city. And God can trust us then, because we'll have done it so many times that we don't question that voice. We already know it. He's done it so many times. We understand what he's doing when he does it. God bless you this morning.